We are back on Morning Line, our final segment this morning with Chief Investigative Reporter here at News Channel 5, Phil Williams. And, you know, we obviously know now that Dr. Joseph is leaving. And your understanding is, will he stay in the area? Do you have any idea what his plans are?
I have heard that he plans to leave the area for another position elsewhere, but have not confirmed that.
Okay, not necessarily as a schools director, but something in education?
Correct.
Okay, and then I guess one of the other questions is when he came here, he did bring staffers with him, who I assume are still on the payroll working, and some would say we're part of the problem as well. But I mean, do you know, are they leaving too, or is it part of the deal that he leaves and they go also? Or are they going to stay?
Yeah, we don't know for sure. I mean, there's talk that perhaps one of his chiefs may be preparing to leave, but you know, it's really going to be up to, number one, them about whether they want to stay, and then it'll be up to the interim director, Dr. Adrienne Battle, about whether she wants to keep them.
So she can make that call like anything, and
right.
Okay.
It looks like she'll probably be the interim for a while, because they have not even started discussing how they search for a new director of schools.
It's interesting. Typically in the past when they search, they hire a search firm, and it's a nationwide thing. And it's so interesting to me. And I was very impressed with Miss Battle, just looking at her, you know, her qualifications and resume, and having been from this area. And I thought, well, wow, she looks like she might be really good, and I hope she does well. And I'm thinking, gosh, if you have someone right here ready to go that turns out to be good in the interim, why the heck are you dropping $150,000 for some national search that, by the way, a national search that led us to some of these past directors that weren't all that good?
Yeah, and
it's just crazy how that works.
And I'm not exactly sure whether the board has to go through a national search.
Yeah, maybe there's a requirement for equal hiring or something.
I'll need to check into that.
But she certainly, if she chooses and would be interested in the job, her name would certainly be in the hat, would it not?
I mean, she could apply, certainly.
Okay, well, I'm just impressed with her, at least to this point, with her qualifications. Let's go to Jewel. Jewel, good morning. Hi, Jewel.
Top of the morning, my friend.
Top of the morning.
Thank you for having Mr. Williams on there. He's always interesting. And congratulations on your award there,
Thank you,
Mr. Williams. I just want to ask a question. What is the status, if you will, or what are they talking about these resource officers leaving some of those schools because some of them are just too rough and they can't handle them hard-knocks? And I'll hang up, and thanks for taking my call. Y'all have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And, you know, I've been so busy, I haven't been able to check. I mean, the concern was that when you actually have police officers in the schools, especially students, and we're talking about the alternative learning centers, these are a couple of the schools that have some of the more troubled kids. Yeah. Many of them have had encounters with law enforcement, and so there tends to be this built-in clash because of them being police as opposed to just security. Mm-hmm. And so there have been discussions about, you know, whether the police are the best for that role. The police feel like if they're just you know providing security, if they're not able to work on mentoring these kids, then there's no reason for them to be there, because their hands are tied. And again, it goes back to philosophy. And you know, do we want the police in the schools? What role do we want them to play? And I don't know where that discussion stands right now.
Yeah, I don't know that there's been more development on that, but they're going to have to address that. You're absolutely right. Let's go to Tony. Hi, Tony. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nick. Now, you had a councilman on the other night, and I called and asked him, addressed to him, why don't you visit some of these schools, see how bad they are? He said his job is to do the financing part. But these people in this town don't visit none of these schools. All three of my sons work for Metro Government Schools. One's captain security and one is custodial. Now, the school that he worked in Goodlettsville, he's going through hell. But nobody wants to go up there and check. You got all this staff up there. And Mr. Williams, I think he's done a good job. But when Pedro Garcia was here, he gave me a job for Metro Schools, captain security, at one of the high schools here. And they was terrible kids in an affluent neighborhood. Now, you had Jesse arrested. You didn't do no bad stories on him. And this man owned the custodial company for Metro Schools. They keep denying it.
All right, listen, Tony, and Tony's a regular caller. Tony, did you just join us? I mean, yes, all right, I'm tired of this. People who say you didn't do stories, go ahead, but we touched on it. He did a bunch of stories, a year-long investigation on Jesse Register, Tony. Google it, and then call us back.
Yeah, and we have, you know, as a station, not me personally, but we have done lots of stories about fights in the schools and the sorts of discipline issues going back years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a problem in a lot of these schools. Let's go to Linda. Linda, good morning. Hi, Linda.
Good morning. Thank you all for doing this. My main concern right now, just forgetting about what's gone on in the past, is the kind of, I guess, unwritten rule or whatever about suspensions in schools. And my concern is about the children who, in elementary school, kick the principal, kick the teachers, kick the staff, hit the staff, and they should be suspended. What are they going to do with these when they have been told not to suspend the children for these infractions?
And it's a really, really tough issue, especially with elementary schools.
Yeah, so
because you know, as we heard when we had this town hall with teachers, there are kids who are coming into these schools who have serious emotional baggage, you know, from trauma that they have experienced in their neighborhoods. And so just automatically kicking them out is not the answer, because those kids are probably better off in the school building than they are in some of their neighborhoods. The problem is, you've got to make a case for what they call trauma-informed specialists who can work with those troubled kids and help them get control of their emotions. But I think the difficulty has been that, you know, that has never really been fully explained to the city leaders. That here are the problems, here's how we propose to fix it, here's how much it will cost. And it has not been shared with the city leaders of, we are so committed to this, we're going to forego spending money on these, you know, ex-consultants. So I think because of the way that Dr. Joseph came in, started awarding lots and lots of contracts to companies he had done business with in the past, there's just not a confidence that money will be well spent. There's no doubt, you know, kids like this need some serious interventions. Yeah. You know, so it's a question of where are we putting our priorities.
Yeah. And I've gotten calls on that from parents now who are afraid of their own children and worry there's no resources to help them. From the schools being asked to do more parenting than ever before. You're right. It's a huge issue, especially elementary schools. They're young.
Yeah.
These are young kids. All right. As we kind of wrap things up here, just again, from here now, I mean, I think it's all about moving forward and doing hopefully what's best for our schools and the kids in Davidson County. Questions of maybe what's going to change with the school board, the existing staff there, who the new director is going to be. What are the other issues as you see it, Phil?
I think there's going to have to be a serious conversation about some of the policies that Dr. Joseph and his team put into place. I mean, for example, as this caller alluded to, the discipline issues. Okay. You know, that problem is not going away. So, you know, that's going to be one of the biggest issues that Dr. Battle is going to have to contend with, is how can we find a middle ground here where faculty, teachers, and good students can feel safe. So that may be one of the biggest challenges that she has.
Are alternative schools still around? I mean, I know when a kid gets expelled, it's not like they're just sent home and forget about them. They're sent to an alternative school that's structured for kids who are having problems, right?
Right.
Now that's maybe more for high school kids. I don't think elementary school kids are sent to that.
I think there may be an alternative school that goes to some younger grades.
Maybe into the juniors, okay. But I don't know, something like that, because really that's, when you talk about problems that come with big cities, aside from the real obvious ones that you address like sexual harassment, I mean, discipline problems with kids, those are the real hard issues. The other ones are easy to solve. Look into it, someone's sexually harassing, you're gone. Kids, you don't give up on them.
Right. Right, and the alternative schools is where we're having the conversation now about whether to have police in the schools or not. So, and I'm hearing some, the alternative schools are having some real challenges as well. So it's not going to be an easy job for our interim director.
No, not at all. And to see how she does, this will be a good test of her mettle. And I hope, as I said, I hope she does well. Nashville is this giant growing city, and it has so much going for it. When people move here, though, and anyone moves anywhere, what's one of the first questions they ask? What kind of hospitals you got? You know, how safe is it? And what are the schools like?
Right.
I mean, if Nashville truly, don't you think, wants to be really a top-tier city, which I think we are, you have to have a good school system, a good public school system. Right?
Exactly. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you're right. That's one of the questions people ask. They're moving into a neighborhood, and they check which school are we zoned for.
First thing is how it works out. Phil, remind folks, not just you. Of course, we have a terrific I-team here at News Channel 5. If folks have story ideas, tips, be it on the schools or on something else that needs investigating, how do they contact you guys?
The best way is our email address, investigate@newschannel5.com. Investigate@newschannel5.com. Or they can call 615-244-NEWS.
And the bottom line on that, when they come in, don't necessarily expect a phone call back.
Right.
I think your staff and you will look at everything that comes through. You can't promise you're going to do a story on it. Can't promise you're going to hear from them, but they'll look at it. And if it's something...
And if you can send us documentation, some sort of evidence to back up what you're saying, it makes it a lot easier to evaluate those.
The truth
allegations.
is, I have a lot of people, Phil, and they know that you and I know each other and are friends, but they're asking, well, how does Phil get these stories? And I go, well, look, first of all, I don't ask, and he knows a lot of people, but I think you'll even be one of the first to say that many of your biggest investigations started from a tip from perhaps a viewer or a concerned citizen.
Absolutely.
That's where they come from.
And when I'm on a big investigation like this, I'm always keeping a list of the tips that come in about something else, because there's the next project.
And you have to pick and choose. I'm sure you have a bunch on your plate that you guys could go after, and it's nice to know. Again, just a great example of how important investigative journalism is. Phil, you're awesome. Thank you for coming on so early this morning. All right, and we'll see you on your next.
And we'll have better coffee next time, right?
Darn it. All right, folks. He loves coffee. We'll take a break. I'll be back with a programming note. And thanks again, Phil, for coming on.